In the astrology of January 17th, we have a very powerful energy today as the moon is in a conjunction with Eris. And we have this each and every moon cycle, and it's a very interesting time because if you start to track backwards the times that the moon has conjuncted Eris and what effect that this has had sort of in your mood, in little situations that are not always easy to sort of calculate or measure, but in your life, just little times where there's sort of a burst of chaos in a particular area of your life. For Aries today, the way that you might be experiencing this is a certain chaos that happens within the self where part of you wants to emerge, part of you wants to come forward, part of you wants to be seen. For Pisces, for example, this chaos can be financial chaos. This can be a moment where your paycheck falls either directly before or directly after this part of the moon cycle. And you'll notice that each and every time there's kind of a lot of focus or situations that revolve around money that come up when the moon conjuncts Eris. For each and every one of us, we can sort of start to find that when this chaos happens, that there tends to be two essential ways that this ends up turning out. One is that we master this chaos and we allow ourselves to step forward as Aries, or we allow ourselves to overcome this financial worry like Pisces. And for other situations, it's that this chaos almost completely envelops us. And because this is something that's happening each and every month, it's a very important thing to kind of get a grip on, or at least to spend a little bit of time reflecting on it. So for Aquarius, for example, this tends to be chaos around speech. Aquariuses might notice that people start interpreting their words the wrong way at this time each and every month. And once again, I highly recommend you track it backwards and you look at these different times and you go through your text message history or your inbox history and you say, whoa, that's weird that I encountered these types of problems almost every month in some sort of cyclical form, because overcoming that chaos energy then becomes a fuel source and a place of power for you if you're able to do that. For Capricorn, for example, this might be a time where, when the moon conjuncts Eris, that your family and situations around your family start to erupt. So that's where certain disagreements happen between you and family members or between themselves, and you're attempting to mediate and help out in some way. For Sagittarius, this might be chaos that is caused by you trying to have a good time or you trying to do what it is that you're naturally oriented to do. This could be taking a little bit of time for yourself and then other people trying to guilt you for that. Regardless of what exactly it's manifesting as, it's important to look at that and say, okay, I need to take a certain step here and say that this is part of who I am and what it is that I do. And I need to not be bogged down by this each and every time. For Scorpio, this is going to be an interesting one because for you guys, Aries is your sixth house. So this might be, a time of the month where your sleep schedule gets thrown, out the window. This can be a time where your essentially your general health, your diet, your exercise routine, whatever it is, starts to decline in some way. So it's a really important thing to pay attention to what kind of stressors are starting to cause this or trying to. For Libra, of course, this would be relationships, business partnerships, and friendships. This is going to be a time at which maybe you have more disagreements than normal. But regardless, it's so important, especially for Libra, to overcome those because that opposition point, as intense it is incredibly necessary. For Virgo, this is a time where maybe you have some of the most chaotic dreams, visions, and intuitive impulses, maybe the darker tone of prophecy that you experience whenever the moon conjuncts Eris. And for Leo, this might be a time where this is the time where you're essentially called to have the most faith or to believe in yourself the most in situations that seem more daunting. In fact, you might even look back and say, all of the most daunting things I've encountered have always been around the moon in a conjunction with Eris. And in our lifetimes, Eris is so slow in its movement that it has stayed in Aries. And it's going to stay in Aries, 128 more years? It's going to be in Aries for a long time to come. It's been there, I think, I'm going to actually have to go back and check because Eris's movement is so slow, and I might be mixing it up with Poseidon. Poseidon moved into Scorpio about 30 years ago. The point is, Eris's movement is incredibly slow, and so this is something we're going to be encountering throughout our entire lifetimes. I believe even when it shifts into Taurus, which it's going to be doing, I think, in just a few decades, actually, now that I think about it. The point is, when it shifts, we're going to be experiencing a whole new series of different types of things for us to overcome. For Cancer, for example, this is a big one. This might be chaotic events or situations or stressors that in some way attempt to influence your big path, your big dreams, your career path, your life path. You know, it's really intense stuff. For Gemini, this of course is going to be happening in your friendships. This might be when you have the most friendly skirmishes or, you know, issues with your social circles. So it's something to keep in mind. But the thing is, when you backtrack and you look over this transit throughout time, and you look back to each and every single one of them, especially in times where the moon was actually in a full moon position or a new moon position, depending on the season, you'll notice, like, wow, I can't believe how specifically this has manifested. And for Taurus, lastly, for Taurus, this is going to be chaos around letting things go. Chaos around letting them go for good. Getting these certain ideas out of your life. And sometimes if you don't, then it might manifest as very toxic friendships, toxic relationships, toxic familial connections. It can be really difficult stuff for Taurus. So each and every month, Taurus is always called into the monk-like stance of choosing, am I going to allow the chaos to master me, or am I going to master it? So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you guys have an amazing and still wonderfully chaotic day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.